Well, hello, this is Kenn Renner, a real estate broker here in North Austin, and just really excited to talk to our Kingdom entrepreneurs and their clientele too about what Luis Perez does. Luis has been going to Kingdom Entrepreneurs for, gosh, 3 years now, 2.5 years, something like that. And you even
Yeah,
attended when you were living in California for a short period. Well, it wasn't short, it was about a year. And then
yeah,
when you got back to Texas as quick as you could, you came back into Kingdom Entrepreneurs, and we were so glad to have you back. You were at one time thinking about even opening up a branch at Kingdom out there in the LA area. But you know, appreciate you being a part of what we're doing here, and also helping the community, and also helping clients be able to get into a position that that puts them in a much more secure and safer, and it gives them a path to be able to build wealth and be able to also have a lot of protection over it as they move forward. So the purpose of these presentations or this semi podcast here is for us to be able to interview our Kingdom Entrepreneur business owners, and then be able to give them something they can share with their on their social media, or they can share it through an email. And we're even going to be putting together email swipes for our clients, where for our business owners, and say basically it says this is what we covered in the interview, and but they can just cut and paste and put it in their email. They don't have to create anything. So we're trying to make it easy, and that's kind of what our business of the week is going to be as for. So we are looking right now for people to raise their hand from the Kingdom Entrepreneurs to say, I would love to have my business showcased. We are going to start with these podcast style Zoom interviews, but I'm more than happy to step it up to actually coming to your office, or you coming to us and actually having an interview. Luis says he's setting up a studio in his garage. So I told him I can't wait to be one of the first one on film there. Guess they don't call it film anymore. But yeah, so yeah, let's get started. And Luis, this is Kenn Renner. Thank you for serving God. And whole idea here in the Kingdom Entrepreneurs, our byline is to connect and to inspire and to empower. And so you've been very successful at what you've done. You've had agency that built up very fast, and that only comes because you're serving well. And also would love to hear your take on how you are helping bring the kingdom into the marketplace. It's always been a discussion of how do we enter that level of being able to share our businesses, but also share share the gospel without it being awkward. And so I think one of the best guys that does that is John Maxwell. So he's one of my go-tos to learn how to do that. So because we have a man of faith here, Luis Perez, that's what I love. John Maxwell calls you. I'm a man of faith. Like, oh, okay, I get it. That doesn't have to be like so awkward. So, Luis Perez, what is it that you do?
yeah. Well, thank you very much, Ken. And first of all, thank you for everything that you and Jeff do with Kingdom Entrepreneurs, because I definitely wouldn't be where I'm at today in business if it was, especially in Austin, if it wasn't for Kingdom Entrepreneurs.
Well, I appreciate that.
Uh, and I mean that truly and wholeheartedly. I'm a life insurance agent, but I like to sell myself as a life insurance agent for business owners.
Okay.
There's tons of life insurance agents out there. Prior to me being in the industry, I was a business owner. I ran a property inspection company.
Hmm.
And I noticed after I got into the industry that there's so many products available for business owners in the life insurance field, but we're never taught about them. And
Yeah.
as a business owner, we build our business and we want it to be our retirement plan, but then, especially a lot of small businesses, they don't ever find their exit plan from their business.
Right.
And I learned that you can utilize life insurance tools to be able to one day retire from your business. And
Hmm.
that's the American dream. That's what we've all wanted. And so I made it my mission to go help small business owners and business owners be able to set up a succession plan for their business, make sure they're able to retire from the business, and make sure their business is protected. And so that's my passion in doing, but I'm able to do everything when it comes to life insurance and annuities.
Well, and one of the things that's included in that, not only building, well, it's a great mission to have, and I'm kind of on that same path, is that we don't want to have to work till we die. And if we don't have a plan or a
Yeah.
strategy, that's exactly, especially in the real estate business, that's what's going to happen. Very common, because they don't build up assets that can eventually pay them back. I learned a long time ago about cash value life insurance and the power behind it. Of course, life insurance comes with a little bit of a stigma when it comes up, but if you get the right, ultimate banking type of life insurance policy, it offers so much benefits and actually saved my financial life when the big giant crisis hit in in the 2008-9 crash. Real estate just went out and nothing was selling. I had my financial advisor over the last years with had me save away it's $5,000 a month, $5,000 a month. It just built up, didn't even see it. Went off to New York. The money was somewhere else. I couldn't touch it without calling them up and saying, "I can you please send me my money back?" Because it's basically your own savings, but it also has some really good asset protection sides to it, and also growth aspects, and also being able to borrow your own money. And that, tell me a little bit more, Luis, about how people use that strategy to increase their net worth.
So there's a ton of different strategies out there. And one thing I want to make very important is that every not every strategy is for everybody.
Right,
And I've been in the industry a while now, almost 9 years actually. And I've seen people talk about life insurance and these investment strategies and infinite banking and the laser fund. And one thing that people got to understand that is they have to be structured correctly and set up the right way. Because if not, then that's where the industry has the stigmatism that, you know, it's people aren't doing it right, it doesn't work. Like
right,
you said, you're a believer in cash value yourself because it's worked for you.
yeah,
And whoever your agent was did it the right way, so that way it could work for you.
right,
And that's something that I'm very passionate about. I've seen
right,
that. I've seen the worst of the worst of, people they believe in the product, but they weren't taught or did it the right way. But you go out there, you have a properly structured IUL or whole life, and it builds cash value. That cash value has options to be able to take that money out as a loan, and be able to set up an income for the rest of your life for retirement,
right,
tax free. So there's many ways to utilize it. I've had people use it to buy properties. I've had people, buy cars, emergency funds, whatever they need it for, it's their money and they're able to access it. So that's a great tool. And nowadays, because of social media and TikTok, you see so many people asking more questions about it and
right.
being able to use it. I've heard and seen great things happen with it. And if anybody has any questions, they can always come and
Yeah,
reach out.
and I wasn't so sure about it when he got me set up because I had that stigma with life insurance. I knew I needed it, so I
Mhm.
had term life insurance just to protect my family, and it was like, no, he goes, this is why you're doing this, is because you can put in money into this cash value. You establish the policy, you can put money into the cash value life insurance policy, and it is number one, it's 100% protected. I mean, alive from I mean, say 100% liability protection, right? I mean, the only one that could even come to get that money, it's protected. No judgments can do it. Maybe the IRS might be able to get to
Right.
it if you didn't make if you owe them. But I mean, it's pretty much a bulletproof place to store your money. And especially when you get more of the high net worth people that have a lot of money, they don't, that's sitting in a bank. It's not protected. So I get that
Mhm.
question all the time. Can I buy a piece of real estate in LLC so I don't have to have the liability of it? And the same thing with this is that it also offers a return. So you're if you're put the money in there, you may get what 4 or 5% on it, but then it's tax free. So depending on your tax bracket, the actual net return on a tax free 5% is quite a bit higher. My guy
Yeah.
said mine was more like 9%. So I get 9% growth, tax free, and asset protection. So I'm like, that's a pretty good place to store the money. And I'm pretty much either I'm not in the stock market. I'm not into that whole thing. I'm sure it's done really well for a lot of our clients. But first of all, is I'm in real estate and I'm in cash value life insurance. So I'm basically in a cash position or in a real estate ownership position. So this has really helped me because my value keeps growing because I don't touch the principal. I borrow against it, and I pay
Mhm.
myself back interest on the money I borrow. And then when I have a windfall, I pay it back. but I'm paying money back to myself. Was that pretty much in a nutshell what you guys?
Yep, that's where you are becoming your own bank, right?
Yes,
Because the other alternative is you go grab a loan, right, for whatever you took out, and
right,
then you have to pay that with, higher interest. You look at interest on credit cards,
yeah,
23%.
right,
And then when you pay it back, because you always got to pay it back, you're paying back that to a bank. That money isn't going back to you,
right.
And so that's where the whole idea of, infinite banking and becoming your own bank. And, they talk about families like the Rockefeller have done for,
Yeah,
generations
yeah.
is, you fund yourself.
Right. And that's what the, it goes back to biblical days, even the Jewish the in the Jewish world, the synagogue was a bank. And
Mhm.
so people would that's one of the things that was great about the Jews and why they became some of the best entrepreneurs in the world was because they would teach their kids from 13 years old a trade or a business or what you do, and then they would bring them up, raise them up, and then when it was time for them to start their business, they had all these mentors around them, and then they would actually help fund the business. But they weren't going to just give them $500,000, $1 million to start a business without being mentored like a board of directors. This is going back to, the way back in the biblical times. So they guide that because the synagogue wants its money back, right?
Yeah.
So it can lend it out again for other businesses. That's how it grows. So that's the neat thing. And the funny thing about the way the Jewish culture works is that they for a lot of these very wealthy, they tithe in offerings of 30% plus. Ours little 10% that we're supposed to give compared to the 30 or 40%. And the reason why in my heart why they give so much back to their synagogue was because they're grateful. They're grateful for what they've been given, and then they pass that down into future generations. So not only, Louis, are you helping set up the insurance policies and everything, the strategies to be able for them to retire while they're still with us. But tell me about the legacy. What do the kids get? What do your offspring get when you pass? That obviously you got life insurance, so they're going to get a benefit there. But then what about the rest of it? Tell me how that works.
So, well, it depends also on what they set up. One thing I'm a big uh promoter of is kids policies,
Oh yeah.
right? Kids whole life or IUL, where you can start a policy on a child as little as 2 weeks old, right? 14 days.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And that's you're part of the healthiest and youngest you'll be is at 14 days, right? And you start putting money away for your child, $100, $200 a month, which is, how quickly do we spend that nowadays?
Yeah, yeah, easy.
You know, um, and you can put that in all the way up until they're 18, 21 years old. And then after that, you don't have the insurance policy is paid off, but it's built up cash value that's going to continue to grow. And at 18, 19 years old, they can take money out for college.
Okay,
They can take out money for a wedding. They can take out money for a down payment on a home.
all right.
And then at 65, that policy pays them depending anywhere from 70 to $80,000 a year for the rest of their life.
There you go.
So
Set it
what
up.
what better relief as a parent knowing that you set up your child's financial future?
And you did it before they turned 18. That's brilliant.
Yeah,
With
yeah.
with a small monthly investment. I'd never even heard of that. And I mean, we've heard of a lot of other strategies, but that's a really amazing way for for them to get started. And that's kind of what we all do this for. And I mean, real estate's
Mhm.
is kind of the same way. If you when you pass, your kids get the value of the property that it is when the day we pass. And they can sell it without having to pay capital gains or, depreciation recapture and all that. So we're all about becoming financially free here so we can expand the kingdom even further. Because if you have money, you can do more things with it and be able to help expand the kingdom and get the gospel out. But then also you're passing on a legacy for the next generation and the next generation. I think somewhere in the Bible it says a good man leaves a good person leaves a inheritance for his children's children.
Yep.
So I'm really a believer in that. I think we've lost a lot of that in the Western culture. That we're kind of like, well, your kids are on your own, and we're here to change that. And like I said, we do to let our kids know that they're going to have kids someday, and why not make their lives easier? So. Luis, it's great talking with you. How do we get a hold of you? And we'll see at the online meeting here coming up in a few days. And we'd certainly like to have every one of our businesses that be represented on a podcast like this, so that we can build up content. People can kind of see, what we do, who we are, without seeing us just 30 minutes or an hour at a business luncheon.
Yeah, one thing, definitely come meet at Kingdom. We meet either online or in person.
Yeah,
I'll have my information in the email as well, social media as well. But one thing I will say for everyone, right? The point of Kingdom, and I can say this from living it. I started, I think it was 2024, right? Beginning of 2024
okay, yep,
was my first meeting. And a lot of us, especially as business people, right, we expect a quick return. And I remember I attended the event, and I attended for probably about 6 months and didn't get a single referral.
mhm.
Um, but there's patience in, planting seeds
And showing up.
and and showing up.
Yeah,
And I remember Jeff and Gabe were some of my first clients.
right,
And from there it just sprouted on. And it for all of you, whether you're a brand new business owner or you're well seasoned and but just started attending the group, keep coming.
right,
Because what makes, like what Ken was saying, certain communities, they're so passionate about helping each other,
right.
right? Building that network. That's what Kingdom Entrepreneur is too. You come in, we look for different professions.
Yeah,
I know I'm always looking for other partners, CPAs, tax attorneys, realtors to partner with.
right.
And if you keep attending and you build those partnerships and relationships, some of my greatest friends now in Austin that I built friendships and family with are people that I met in Kingdom Entrepreneurs.
Great. Awesome.
So I hope you all continue to come.
All right, Luis, that's amazing. What's your contact information so they can get a hold of you?
My cell phone is 310-404-6109. Or you can reach me via email at luisp@liftwealthsolutions.com.
Nice. And 310, that's a California number, but we won't hold that against you.
I know, I know.
All right. Hey, Luis, thanks for the quick interview, and I'll see you at the next meeting. And
Thank you, Ken.
Kenn Renner checking out here in North Austin. Talk to you soon.